New Orleans Saints at the buzzer make another trade. Trevor Penning is headed to the Chargers. You're watching Saints Now by Chat Sports. My name is Trizzy Trace Girouard. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. I'm here to tell you right now that the New Orleans Saints needed to operate as sellers, and they got 2 moves done. I wish a handful of more would have been made, but at the end of the day, the trade deadline has come, it has gone, and let's react to everything that has happened. In case you guys missed it, sorry I'm so red, by the way. It's hot in the studio, and your boy got pretty heated when I was, complaining about Rashid Shaheed getting traded. But Trevor Penning at the buzzer, like we said, literally 2 minutes before the trade deadline ends. The Chargers make a move. Penning to the Chargers. The Saints receive a 2027 6th-round pick. Worth noting, it's not this upcoming draft, but a future draft pick for Trevor Penning. The draft pick heads to New Orleans. I want you to grade the trade for me, A, B, C, D, or F. I guess I'll give it a C. It's better than nothing. You didn't pick up his 5th-year option, so I guess it's better than just letting him walk in free agency. But the Chargers, they made this move for a handful of reasons, the biggest one being that Joe Alt is now dealing with an injury, and they needed some services of an experienced offensive lineman. I do want to say I'm actually okay with Trevor Penning being dealt. The offensive line in New Orleans has been severely bad, in my opinion, especially the interior offensive line, but he's a player who has versatility to play outside. He can now play inside. He has experience all over the line, and I think for the Chargers, they're a team that is still looking to compete and make a run for the postseason, and Penning can provide a little bit of extra juice to that offensive line. I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to be absolutely missed in New Orleans. I want to first of all say, thanks for everything, I guess. It's not really like there's been a ton of great moments, but I don't wish this player ill will by any means, but I saw people saying that this is just an FU to the fan base. It's a slap in the face from Mickey Loomis. I think it's more of just an admission of being wrong. I think that this is just you know what? I was wrong. Drafting Penning in the 1st round was a waste. We needed to get something in return for him. We needed to move off of him, so they made the trade to the Los Angeles Chargers. The Northern Iowa product, he was a project to begin with, and it just never really worked out in New Orleans. So he is swapping in the black and gold for the blue and yellow with those nice uniforms they have with the Chargers. All in all, I will say I think that the Saints need to be smart with how they go about this offensive line here. We're going to tell you guys a little bit more about what happened in the trade deadline in a moment. But with the offensive line, now that you've traded Trevor Penning, Dylan Radin slides to be the starting left guard. Cesar Ruiz did not get dealt, so he stays at the right guard position. Torricelli Simpkins, the undrafted free agent out of South Carolina, he will be able to be the backup on either side because he can play either one, and he can also provide depth at the center position. So all in all, the New Orleans Saints deciding to make a handful of moves, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is why you subscribe, because anytime the Saints make something happen, we're here to break it down. We're live right now, hanging out, talking about this, so if you see the video in time, come hang out with us live on Saints Now. Now let's get to the next trade here in just one moment. First things first, got to thank today's presenting sponsor, and that is Chubbies. And guys, I know that it's Chubby Shorts, but let me tell you, they are much more than just a shorts brand. They got shirts. They got polos. They got swim trunks. And now they have an elite fall collection. You got to check out the stuff in the Comfort collection. The main item that I love is the Everywhere Jogger. It's the perfect pant for impromptu naps, weekend errands, and everything in between. And Maddie and I have been going on all sorts of fun dates throughout the fall, and we got some fun ones planned here in the winter. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to be rocking my Everywhere Joggers, everywhere. And I know your fall wardrobe needs an update. Trizzy always has the hookup. So click the link in the comments or description of this video, or just head over to chubbyshorts.com/chatsports to now get 20% off your order for limited time. That's chubbyshorts.com/chatsports. Whether you're laying up for tailgates, lounging around through lazy Sundays, or just leaning fully into fall comfort, Chubby's has you covered. I love Chubbies. Their shorts, their pants, their hoodies, their jackets, their t-shirts, their polos. Everything is comfortable. Everything is vibrant. Everything looks good and helps you feel more confident. Check out everything they have in the Comfort Collection, and I promise you won't regret it. You'll get 20% off if you use code CHATSPORTS at checkout. Head on over to chubbyshorts.com/chatsports to now get 20% off if you are a listener of Saints Now by Chat Sports. Support the show and show your thighs some respect with Chubbies. Click the link down below to get started today. Now, obviously, the New Orleans Saints had a handful of moves that a lot of us wanted to make. Pete Werner was one that a lot of people wanted traded. Alontae Taylor was one that people wanted traded. Chris Olave was a name that people mentioned a lot in trade buzz. Alvin Kamara got some interest. There was a handful of players out there who could have been dealt, but the Saints decide to only move 2 players. Obviously, we talked about Trevor Penning. We broke down Rashid Shaheed in full detail earlier, but we'll just kind of give you the recap and the information in case you missed it. With Trevor Penning, though, I think that he is a player that can provide a little bit of depth for the Chargers. So if you're a Chargers fan watching this video, I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to fix all your problems, but he at least can be serviceable enough and can kind of get it done for New Orleans. I'm not going to say it got better. I'm also not going to sit here and say it got worse. I don't know. All in all, I think this was a necessary move for New Orleans to make. Would have liked to get a little bit more in return, but at the end of the day, something is better than nothing. Now, let's kind of get you guys re-caught up on the Rashid Shaheed trade. In case you missed it, New Orleans dealt those Saints wide receiver earlier today around noon Central Time for a 4th and a 5th round pick, meaning New Orleans now has their own 1st round pick. They have their own 2nd round pick. They have their own 3rd round pick. They have Seattle's 4th round pick, which will be later in the round. You have your own 5th and Seattle's 5th, so 2 in the 5th round. You have a 6th round pick and no 7th. Next year, you have a 1st, a 2nd, a 3rd. Now it's 2 6ths, I believe. I could be wrong on that. We're going to make sure we're caught up here. Give me 1 second here. But the New Orleans Saints have more draft capital than they did when we woke up this morning, and that is a smart thing for New Orleans to do considering they needed to make moves. Okay, so now they do have a 6th round pick in 2027. So in 2020, this was the draft picks going into today. So a reminder, you had 5 picks when you woke up. Now you have 7 in 2026. You have a 4th round from Seattle. You have 2 5ths, but you still do not have a 7th round pick. In 2027, you now have 6 picks because you have your own 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and now you have Seattle's 6th. Or excuse me, Los Angeles' 6th. So you do have the ability to add more talent, add more depth. I know it's a 6th round pick. I know it's not anything illustrious. But hey, in 2028, you have 3 7th round picks. So that makes life easy, right? Right? I don't know. All in all, I can tell you right now, when it comes to the trades that the New Orleans Saints have made, I am really, sad that we had to say goodbye to Rashid Shaheed specifically. Not as much with Trevor Penning, but New Orleans holds the #1 overall pick right now, and I think that one more move would have been a really smart decision, although I think New Orleans can still make trades in the offseason. You could see players like Pete Werner, Carl Granderson, Chris Olave, some of these other guys get dealt in the offseason since they didn't get dealt by the trade deadline. I'm in here going to tell you right now, the trade deadline always has a lot of smoke. There's usually not a lot of fire, but New Orleans and the Jets were big-time sellers today. The Jets had a fire sale, trading away Quinnen Williams, trading away Sauce Gardner. Breece Hall ends up staying after saying he wanted out. Jermaine Johnson stays, but look, the next few weeks for New Orleans Saints football, the remainder of the season, it's not going to be pretty. It just got a little bit uglier considering the offense has been a major problem. You trade away 2 offensive players, one being the most explosive player you have on the team. You already lack explosive plays. And the other one being an offensive lineman. You may not like him, but he's a starter, and he's a starter for a reason. So at the end of the day, I will think the Saints get like a B-, C+ grade for me on the trade deadline. But, I think one more move would have made me feel a little bit more confident in the future of this team. But this was never a one-year fix. we're going to have to see what happens in the draft, and hopefully we can hit on some of these picks. Now, whenever anything happens around the black and gold, I highly encourage you to subscribe to the channel. We recently crossed over 52,000 subscribers, so I want to say thank you guys so much for helping us cross that milestone. It's an awesome number to reach, and without y'all, that wouldn't have been possible. So thank you so much. Make sure you lock us in for more free Saints videos, and let's just kind of go through really quickly all of the trades that happened. We're not just Saints fans. We're football fans. We want to see what happens around the league. So Quinnen Williams to the Cowboys. Jerry Jones said that he wanted to make some moves. He lived up to that promise. He trades Mozzie Smith and a second-round pick and a first-round pick to the Jets in return for top defensive tackle Quinnen Williams. New York also traded Sauce Gardner to the Colts. They were a team that was definitely an Alontae Taylor destination. They went and got Sauce Gardner. Obviously, that took them out of the Alontae Taylor conversation. But A.D. Mitchell and 2 first-round picks to the Jets here. They are loading up with Aaron Glenn. Jacoby Myers got dealt this morning. For what it's worth, I got to give Mickey Loomis a little bit of credit here. I personally believe that Jacoby Myers is a better receiver than Rashid Shaheed, but you got better return than the Raiders did for Jacoby Myers. The Raiders got a 4th and a 6th. You got a 4th and a 5th. Not bad. And it's not a knock on Rashid Shaheed. I just think that Jacoby Myers is a little bit more of a complete wide receiver. I think he could do a little bit more. But, got to give Mickey a little bit of credit there. He didn't totally screw that one up. Logan Wilson also traded to the Dallas Cowboys for a 7th-round pick. I think that this move kind of lowered the price tag for the linebackers across the league. I do think that the Saints were interested in trading Pete Werner. I don't think that they would have been putting Danny Stutzman in for so much run without having at least an idea or at least an intention to do that. But all in all, the New Orleans Saints make 2 moves. The first one being the first one was Rashid Shaheed for a 2026 4th and 5th round pick from the Seahawks. The second one, right at the buzzer, Trevor Penning for a 2027 6th round pick. That's the trade deadline for you. My name is Trizzy Trace Girouard. It's time to start looking ahead to the future. We're going to be doing some mock drafts. We're going to be doing a lot of other coverage. And like we always are, we'll be live for every single game day. Good, bad, or ugly, we're your one-stop shop. So make sure you subscribe, turn on your notifications. For my guy, Loco Lopez, my name is Trizzy Trace Girouard. Y'all stay golden, and we'll see you next time.